Willie McGinest of NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Of course, Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, and he joins us right now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Willie, how you been, man?
I am great. How you doing?
It's all good, man. It's good to have you back and talking football as a new season is here. And, you know, here in Eagles country, obviously, coming off that Super Bowl championship, there was a lot of interesting storylines. Will Wentz play? Is Fultz going to start? Are they going to look the same? Let's go back to that Thursday night opener and get your take on what the Super Bowl champs look like as they beat the Falcons, which seems like it was like a month ago now.
Could I please start with the defense? I would say, man, the defense has gotten better, and that's dangerous for the rest of the league. What I saw with the front four, six, because they rotate guys, the plays that they made it so uncomfortable for Matt Ryan all night. They played great in the red zone. They didn't give up touchdowns. They made them settle for field goals. They had one, goal line stands where they had to make plays 4 downs in a row. To be able to stop a high-powered offense like that. And, they had some success from the 20-20, but what counts is when you don't give up the touchdowns. I don't care about yards as much as I do not letting teams get in the end zone and give up the big plays. And they did a phenomenal job. And, on the other side of the ball, it wasn't great, but I expected them to be a little bit rusty. That's what happens coming off. But I am inspired. I know that they'll get it together. I know they'll put things together. They got a good coaching staff, and they'll shake the rust off. But when you can go out and play the way you did and figure out how to win offensively and lean on your defense the way that happened, it's good to walk away with a win.
Well, I'm glad you brought the defense up, and you said that they've gotten better. What exactly about this defense is better? I mean, you look at, they added Michael Bennett. They didn't have Nigel Bradham the other night. They lost Patrick Robinson, but they substituted him with a rookie, really a rookie in Sidney Jones. But what looks better about this defense? Is it the personnel, or is it being in that system a second year for some of these guys, or a third year now under Jim Schwartz?
Yeah, I was going to say, being in the system, they look more comfortable, and Michael Bennett didn't play as much. Wait till he gets going, and you got a guy like that rotating. Derek Barnett played well. Graham played great. And, they lost Robinson, but the guys, on the back end, they played really well. I just looked at, they just looked like they gelled well together. Yeah. And, when you're able to go out and execute game plans, how they took Julio away, in the crunch time and great situational football. I would just look like, hey, man, they didn't take a step backwards at all. To me, it looked like they got a little bit better, especially up front. They want to win on both sides of the ball. They want to win in the trenches, and they were able to do that. The offensive line looked very solid. They were able to run the ball. And, like I said, on the defensive line, they controlled the trenches in the run game. And, and getting pressure constantly on Matt Ryan, making him, have bad throws and not being able to set his feet and not being comfortable all night.
We're talking with Willie McGinest here, of course, former Patriots linebacker, defensive end, and Super Bowl champion, and he joins us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. And Willie, let me ask you about, because you mentioned Julio Jones, that was almost the same identical play that happened in the playoff game to the other side. How much in that situation is coaching scheme versus personnel? Like, I mean, did the Jim Schwartz just outfox Steve Sarkisian in that spot? How you played when a play is called? How much is scheme and how much is the personnel on the field?
I would say this. I would say in certain situations you want to go to your playmakers, but from a defensive perspective, we know that. So our job is to take away your best player, which was Julio offensively, was to take him away. There were a couple of times that I think Matt Ryan locked in on receivers or Julio and didn't see the rest of the field. I mean, there was a couple of times he locked on and Freeman was wide open. There were at least 2 times in the end zone wide open and he missed them for touchdowns. So I would say a lot had to do with Matt Ryan and being locked in and not seeing, what he needed to see. And then the other times was him trying to force the ball in a situation where the defense knows that that's where they're going.
We're talking with three-time Super Bowl champion Willie McGinest here. I want to get just some quick hits on some teams that are relevant in this area. Giants, let's see what happened there. I mean, Jacksonville, very good defense. Do you think the Giants, did they look like a team that made enough improvements to be relevant in the NFC East?
I think so, but, Eli has to get going. I thought he played average to below average in that game. You could be excited about Saquon Barkley. You got a running back there. The defense played better. But as far as Eli, he came out, didn't play well at all. So I think he needs to get going with all the pieces they put around him at, whether it's the receivers or offensive line or running back, whatever. He's got to step his game up, play better.
Dallas, you had the return, of course, of Ezekiel Elliott, who missed 6 games last year. Dak Prescott, that crew. No, the receivers look a little lax. They don't have Witten anymore, but I think that offensive line is starting to decline a little bit. When you see Dallas, are they a factor in the NFC East?
Well, they got to do what they did better. They got to run the football. I mean, Zeke had the ball about 10 carries through almost 3 quarters. That's not enough. You're not going to be able to come out and just wear people down throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game. They play a certain style of offense, and it starts with the running game, and they got to at least feed him 25 to 30 times a game, whether it's catching the ball or running the ball, and that didn't happen. And when you try to go the other route and just, spread guys out and throw the ball, it just didn't look like Dallas offensively. So I think they got to get back to what they do and start there. The running game will open up the passing game.
Now, Willie, back to scheme here. When you're playing linebacker for the New England Patriots and you see a team that's very one-dimensional, they've got a running back like Zeke Elliott, is that a fun day for you? Do you know, hey, this team's going to try running and they're not going to do it and we're going to make this guy beat us? I mean, is that the mindset that Dak's going up against most of this season?
Yeah, I think that's the mindset with any great defense is you want to take away what they do best or take away one particular weapon and make other guys beat you. And anybody who plays Dallas understands that. They're going to try to take away Zeke. And that's not anything new. Guys have been trying to do that since he's been in the league, and he still had success. But you got to find creative ways to do that now. And like I said, it's no secret. They're going to come in and try to take away the running game and make them figure it out offensively.
Willie, let's take a look at the last team in the NFC East, and that's Washington. Adrian Peterson turned back the clock, had a monster day. They get Alex Smith. I mean, he's done nothing but win in this league. Washington always seems like they're the 4th team in the NFC that everybody talks about. But number one, do you think Adrian Peterson has a full season of gas left in that tank? And do you think Alex Smith, a guy who's won a lot, can make Washington a winner this year?
I think Alex is consistent. I think he's going to take care of the football. I think he's going to make plays. I think he's motivated because he's in a new place and he wants to prove to people that he can play at a certain level. I thought he looked great. As far as Adrian Peterson, it's one game. Hasn't been able to finish a full season in I don't know how many years, would like to see it, but, being realistic, I don't think it's going to happen. I was talking to LaDainian Tomlinson about it, and to be able to perform and carry the load and have that many carries throughout a season is one of the toughest things to do. And we just haven't seen that from Adrian Peterson in the last, 3 years.
Yep, it's been a little bit, and he's kind of blamed the offensive line, the blocking. They got a pretty good line in Washington. That should be a fun story to watch. As we take a look at the league as a whole, Willie, biggest standout moment for you on the first week of the NFL was what?
How explosive the offenses were, and I was impressed with the young quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Sam Darnold. Really impressed with them coming out. I knew this was a good class, and they didn't disappoint. I didn't think, all the guys didn't start. Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen didn't start. Josh Allen needs help down in Buffalo. Lamar Jackson was able to get some time, but I thought, the young quarterbacks coming out, they were very impressive.
He's 3-time Super Bowl champion, Willie McGinest. We appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Willie McGinest, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline.